My name's Amina Hassan. I'm an urban planner, and I'm also one of the founding members of BlackSpace.
I'm Daphne Lundy. A lot of my work focuses on neighborhood planning and the intersection of climate change.
My name is Jennifer Allen. I'm also an urban planner.
My name is Sophanie Joseph. I'm a visual artist and community planner. I sit on the board of the BlackSpace Urbanist Collective.
I'm Emma Osore. I'm a participatory designer. I am one of the founding members and the co-director of BlackSpace Urbanist Collective. We all have something to offer our community. We all think that Black enclaves, the places we grew up, could be a little different and more imaginative. Often in architecture or urban planning, it can very much become about the rendering or the line of sight or the landscape. And I think so many of us in BlackSpace see that landscapes are not neutral, as one of our stars, Mabel Wilson, says.
Mabel Wilson.
Yes.
I remember when she said that.
They're not neutral, and that we do need to think about people as we're developing the world around us, the built environments that we inhabit. I feel like the manifesto gives a practical way to do that.
It was really rare to sort of think about urbanism from the perspective of Black folks and from the perspective of Black folks who've lived in cities. I had never grown up knowing what an architect was or what an urban planner was and sort of how they shape the cities that we're living in. And I honestly think that's the case for a lot of Black and brown folks in the profession.
We are lacking imagination and creativity in the ways that our professions choose to see Black people, spaces, and culture.
It's a curriculum, it's a practice that doesn't really center Black folks. It's really about the stories of the Robert Moses or the Jane Jacobs, or the ways in which a lot of white people have shaped the cities.
It's really interesting to think about, why would we need something like BlackSpace to exist?
To contextualize the Black experience in urban America, it's important to really consider how public policies have negatively impacted. It's a human-created disaster. We have a choice as to how we want to move forward. And so how are we, as humans, constructing the crisis?
And it wasn't really clear to me that there were these people sort of making decisions about how we live and experience our communities.
There's just thousands and thousands of policies and protocols and systems, and the way that they work, they disenfranchise Black people.
Black folks are having to deal with the decision-making processes that are mostly done by white urbanists.
So the reason that BlackSpace exists is that we can shine a light on those things, we can create ways around those things, we can dismantle those things.
We began to understand that we had a place, a gathering place for practicing new ways of urbanist practice that really celebrates imagination and freedom and centers Black lives. And the manifesto helps to share that knowledge with others.
We are Black urban planners, architects, artists, activists, designers, and leaders working to protect and create Black spaces. Our work includes a range of activities from engagement and projects in historically Black neighborhoods to hosting cross-disciplinary convenings and events.
While what we do is very important, the way we do it is also critical. Acknowledging our triumphs, oppressions, aspirations, and challenges, we've created this manifesto to guide our growth as a group and our interactions with one another, partners, and communities. We push ourselves, our partners, our fields, and our work closer to these ideals so we may realize a present and future where Black people, Black spaces, and Black culture matter and thrive.
A lot of folks who sort of make up the core of BlackSpace met in 2015 in the Black in Design conference at the Harvard Design School.
Black architects, urban designers, urban planners talking about ideas for planning space that accommodates Black folks.
It was magical because it was a space that really centered the knowledge and expertise of Black folks that are making decisions about cities, that are trying to reimagine how we work in cities.
There was a core group of people that were very, very involved in sort of keeping what was going continuing. We have all sorts of expertise and talents, and we can really make an impact in the world.
Collective members came together and workshopped over a year-long process.
You were kind of telling me about how you were an impetus for the start of this process.
I posed the idea of creating the manifesto.
I was intrigued. I was like, who's this Who's this lady? What's she doing?
We just saw a need for that kind of tool.
This is who we are, this is who we want to become, this is who we want to continue to be. And the group liked that idea.
This idea of not wanting to sort of make the same mistakes that we've seen in planning and wanting to sort of have something to hold us accountable to the communities that we care about.
Meeting people where they are, amplifying the work of Black women, Black people at the neighborhood level was paramount in what ended up being the manifesto.
There are these sort of long-standing systems in terms of processes and procedures and how we go about our work. And making the manifesto was really an attempt for us as a group to think about how we could do that work differently, to think about things like Black joy, to think about things like local knowledge, to think about things like cultivating wealth and opportunities for collaboration, and also thinking about things about trust, because for so long there's been a history of violence that's been sort of manifested through urban planning, whether it's urban renewal or whether it's where we've put our highways or how we've chosen to develop. And so I think part of the work of creating the manifesto was thinking about ways to do the work that is centered in healing and centered in a restorative practice versus the erasure that's historically happened through the field.
That sort of collective work that we're able to do together helps us heal and rejuvenate from disciplines and fields that have historically worked to stifle us actively. That work is just as valuable as any built environment project.
Create circles, not lines.
Foster personal and communal evolution.
Cultivate wealth.
Be humble learners who practice deep listening.
Plan with, design with.
Reckon with the past to build the future.
Choose critical connections over critical mass.
Manifest the future.
Move at the speed of trust.
Seek people at the margins.
Protect and strengthen culture.
Promote excellence.
Center lived experience.
Celebrate, catalyze, and amplify Black joy.
I always thought of the Manifesto project as at least two parts, where I thought, great, you have the tool and you can read it and see it, absorb it, but then the cultural piece of how do you make it part of how you behave, how you practice, your rituals. There will be this other step of us asking the question, how do we integrate this into the way we function?
I hope to use the BlackSpace Manifesto in all of the work that I do.
What it really highlights and encourages us to do is take small actions
to spark conversation, discussion, to help us imagine how we can design new ways of working with community and working more collaboratively and working on projects that are really resonant and that honor the multiplicity of Black experiences in the U.S.
I want the manifesto to be an example of the ways in which we can do work differently, really embedding this idea of trust building and moving at the speed of trust, as we say a lot.
Move at the speed of trust.
We are constantly checking in, and when things feel like they're moving too fast, we say, let's move at the speed of trust here, let's slow it down.
Yeah, move at the speed of trust is the principle that I come back to all the time.
One that I think a lot about is creating circles and not lines.
Promote excellence.
I think the one that I always come back to is this idea of centering lived experience. The idea of centering lived experience, I think, is a way of shaking up that paradigm of who is the expert when it comes to these fields.
I really love choose critical connections over critical mass. It's really quality over quantity and this valuing of authentic relationships. BlackSpace has shown me that.
The BlackSpace Manifesto reminds me that I should always be approaching every conversation and new collaboration from the mindset of exchange.
In the year 2021 in the United States, for sure, BlackSpace is necessary, and we have friends and colleagues across the world, actually. We have affiliates in multiple cities, and so we actually have global connections, and they're across the world. The African diaspora definitely needs Black spaces to be protected, celebrated, grown, and so yeah, that's where our relevancy comes from.
So if we start evaluating ourselves along more inclusive planning principles that are set forth in frameworks such as the manifesto, we start reconsidering what we call community planning.
And so I think the future really is about continuing to learn from each other in our different contexts, and growing together, learning together, and continuing to kind of share our good work, the things that we learn, the impact that we're able to have.
These fields have real implications for the built environment and the world in which we inhabit, the stories we tell, and where we place value as a society. And so the manifesto, the playbook, the knowledge we produce, the publications that we share, the projects and activities that we choose to engage in are all making change, and really excited about the work we'll continue to do. We are growing and we'll continue to thrive.